Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to work on this piece of Ethiopian Opal. This is one that came in a jar of water from Mike. It's got pretty nice reds in it, a tiny bit of green. It's very clean. It looks like it's already been scooped away at. You can see someone's done a lot of the hard work for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my sandpaper rolls probably to finish this one off. In this video, I'll just do that part. Afterwards, what I'm planning to do with this small piece is to play around with a couple ideas I've got around stabilization. Now, a lot of the time I can get this nice and dry and it's all good, but as soon as you do hit water again, it's going to become this translucent crystal. What I'm going to try to do is try to stop that from happening. I wouldn't really advise it because it will probably destroy the value of the stone, but it's just something I want to play with and just experiment with. So I've got this nice little chunk here that's got plenty of color in it, just to test it out and see what the effects are of a few ideas that I've got. So this poor little stone may end up getting tortured and shattered apart. In the name of science, I'm happy to give it a little bit of a play. It looks like it's been finished off with some sort of pretty coarse diamond burr, probably an electroplated 80 grit looking at those scratches. So I think what I'm going to do is just get the sintered diamond out, the 600 grit, and just trim up a few little edges, maybe get rid of some overhang parts, and just get myself a nice little chunk out of this fat end over here. I might even be able to dry it in this video and show you what it looks like. Let's spin up and see how we go. Alright, so we are going to start off with the 600 grit sintered diamond. Don't need to go any coarser than that. You'll notice while I'm carving here, I won't even speed up the footage. The burr will just absolutely melt. I'm looking at it at the moment and I'm having a look at these sharp edges and sharp points. Notice how quickly you see that little white powder form on the surface. This Ethiopian opal has a higher water content than most Australian opals and it is super soft. I know sometimes people say that it's still like a 5 or 6 hardness, and I find that really hard to believe with the pieces that I've been working on because it is super soft. It disappears so quickly. There is no way it is similar strength to something like Cooperpedy. It is definitely much softer, and you can see here, normally I would be really grinding the surface of the opal. You'll see the burr sit fairly flush up against the surface, and I won't be doing such slow movements and kind of going in and out of the stone. I'm actually lifting the burr away a lot of the time. And that is because this stuff just turns into dust so fast. It grinds really fast. It's incredibly fun to carve because of that. It also probably makes it a little bit less stable, but we all know that it is always going to be a little bit less stable than the Australian opal. That's just what you live with when you've got Ethiopian. But you can see here, even with the 600 grit, normally I'm pretty much fearless when it comes to grinding opal with the 600 grit, but with Ethiopian, you really have to just take your foot off the accelerator and just gently scrape away the surface. You're less thinking about drilling into it, and you're more just thinking about gliding over those edges and getting rid of them. Somehow I managed to do this one without chipping it at all, and I do find that because of the softness of the Ethiopian opal, you don't actually chip all that much. I've found that it actually chips a lot less. It must be a lot less brittle because of the hardness difference. And you can see here, I'm looking on the bottom of it. The bottom of it's a little bit interesting. I do have to choose one side to be a bottom. You can never have every side being the top. So I do choose that flat end as the bottom. I reckon they've just pushed that up against a wheel or most likely a flat lap. But most of the other surfaces I'm going to hit. I'm going to hit everything with the 600. The real pain with Ethiopian opal, and something that you've got to adjust to, is wet examinations. It is really tricky to see any issues wet. You might have missed it completely, but there was an inclusion on that face. So what I do a lot of the time is I kind of just keep on looking at it, but you can also check it semi-dry. So just get a dry finger or a tissue or something and just sweep it over the surface. You don't want to dry out the whole stone, but you just want to check each of those surfaces. So I do that and then I switch over to the sandpapers. Here I'm going to start at 800 because I still want to get rid of a few little edges and do a bit of shaping. I could have gone a little bit higher, like a 1000, but decided the 800 was the way to go, and work it all the way through to the 2500. In the kit of sandpapers that I've got, you don't always have to go from one to the next. You can jump around a bit and skip forwards. As long as you spend enough time on those higher grits, you will end up getting through it. It's just you don't want to wear out all your high grits and not use your low grits. While you're still shaping and stuff, definitely stick with your low grits. and just slowly move your way up. It's the same as everything, we're just scratching the surface smaller and smaller until we get somewhere. And with the sandpapers, I just run them until they're completely burnt out. You should touch it and it should feel like wax paper, and then you'll pretty much be done. So let's have a look at it. Alright, so we're done to the point where the sandpaper drums have had their go. I didn't actually go all the way up to 5000 grit. It's got a good enough finish on it for what I need at the moment. It's also got a little bit of a dodgy spot on the bottom, but it's pretty hard to see. There you go, if I get it in the light, right in the dead center there. There was a small little dip that I didn't work out. And if I had my resin burrs on this, that wouldn't have been a problem. But because I went with sandpaper drums, they really don't get into dips all that well. So I've missed that little spot there on the bottom, which is alright because it's on the bottom anyway. So even though it is very straight, very square, you can bend these top little bits. They are pretty squishy, and you can just slide it in there and grind it down or up towards the face. I prefer to grind it down, and that seems to get into a lot of these little nooks and crannies pretty well. So no metal oxide polishing powder on this one. I am going to treat it pretty badly. Who knows, the treatment might actually be really good, but I am going to treat it, so I don't want to invest too much time into it. This poor little guy might get absolutely destroyed. This is it straight out of the water. It's dry, but it's only been out of the water for a few minutes. What I'm going to do now to dry it and have the highest chance of it not cracking or crazing is I've got a bit of toilet paper or tissue, and we're just going to use one of these sealing bags. We'll wrap him up and chuck him in there. I can flash forward to the future and show you guys what it looks like a little bit after it's had that kind of drying stage done on it. It won't be for a couple of days. Essentially, I'm going to leave it in there like this for a day. But then what I'm going to do, this is something that I've been doing recently for this kind of material, is I'm going to chuck some of these in there. So these little silica gel balls, these ones in particular, I really like. These are my favorite. I use these ones at work as well when I can. So these ones will go from this bright orange when it tells you that it's nice and dry, and it'll go to a dark green. It's a huge color change, really easy to see. I use this in my 3D printing filaments and stuff, but vacuum desiccators and all that kind of thing, I like these ones. You can also get blue ones that turn pink or purple. The color change isn't as strong, and they're also not very safe in terms of chemically. So they're not food grade, whereas these ones are food grade. Not that I'm going to be eating the opals, but it is just another thing to consider. They both work about the same, and I can regenerate these. These are just a new pack, so you can see they're pretty nice and orange. No little green ones in there at the moment. But yeah, I'll sprinkle a bunch of these in there. They actually look pretty similar to the opal itself. A bit more yellow, a bit more orange. After that, it'll be nice and dry. And then I'm going to go ahead and start a second video where I'm going to super dry it. So I'm going to dry it well beyond what this is going to do. This will pull a bit of the moisture out, but it will reach a point where it can't do any more. You can't go to 0% with just desiccant silica gels. So I'm going to pull even more water out of it, because the treatment that I want to try requires me to have no free water just floating around inside the opal. And we all know with Ethiopian Opal, that's a bit easier said than done because it is so hydrophane. Even at this stage where it's just started to dry, if you lick your finger and then touch the stone will actually stick to your finger. It just wants to suck that water in. So yeah, this is where we'll leave it for now. Good little stone. Really soft, really fun to work with, and takes a pretty reasonable polish. I got that one to 2,500, I think, in my kit. So if I bring that over, I stopped as soon as I got to the last blue, so that's 2,500. I started at about the 1,000, but I didn't use the 3,000 and 5,000 for this one. You can see some of these ones have been worn right down, but good thing there's quite a few layers on a roll. Super underrated, much easier to use than resin burrs. You can get a more guaranteed finish. The resin burrs do take a little bit of skill. Once this one's dry, you'll see it back on the channel, where it's unfortunately going to get absolutely tortured. I expect it to break, but you never know. Not until you've tried, so stay tuned. And if you hate Ethiopian Opal, don't worry, I don't cut a lot of it, but you might also enjoy me torturing this one. So stay tuned, hang around, and I'll see you in the next one. Catch you guys.